Now, I thought I made my last Grug video, but turns out the meme is still massive. I mean, I literally can't go through YouTube without seeing Grug. So then I tried to go to Netflix, and this is what I saw. And I am still getting comments of people who don't believe Grug is a Viltrumite, or at least not a human. So today, I wanted to break it down even further and calculate how strong he is, how durable he is, and how intelligent he is, and also reply to some of you guys' comments because y'all had a lot of really good ideas. Anyways, let's not waste any more time. Now, in my last video, I did already calculate his strength, but I'm going to take it a little bit further and calculate his max. And this right here is the scene that I used to calculate his strength, and calculated these rocks to be around 54 tons. However, if you actually keep watching the clip, this like giant bunny jumps on top of it, and it turns out it actually has a name called Bunny Beast. But anyways, I tried to figure out how much he weighed, and nah, some people are just down tremendously. But yeah, there was no actual weight online, so I'm just gonna have to calculate it myself, which is way easier said than done. Actually, it doesn't sound easy at all, but I'm gonna do it anyways. Just a quick disclaimer, I'm not a mathematician, so I might be off by quite a bit, but you know, it is what it is. All right, so the average weight of a bunny is around 3 pounds, and their average height being around 8 inches. And I did find this website called Wiki, which says that bunny beasts vary in size, with the largest being 12 foot tall. So I'm just gonna guess this one to be around 11, which means that we have all of these variables right here. And the best way that I can make this make sense is to calculate the percentage of how much the bunny increased in height. So first we gotta take 11 feet and turn it into inches, which is 132, which means that the bunny increased 124 inches in height. So all we have to do is put 124 over 8 and multiply that by 100, giving us an increased percentage of 1550%. All right, now don't lose me in this next part, okay? We're almost done with the math of this part, because I know some of y'all are sweating right now. Anyways, I'm gonna assume that the weight is proportional to the size, with the size having everything to do with the volume. So all we have to do is find the scale factor, which means that if we started with 8 inches and ended up with 132, that gives us a scale factor of 16.5, which we need to cube, because a bunny's not a stick and a cube is the easiest thing to calculate to, which gives us a final scale factor of 4492.125. And finally, we just multiply that by 3 pounds, and boom, giving us our final weight of 13,476 pounds. Anyways, now that we know how much the bunny weighs, that means he got crushed by 121,476 pounds. So I'm just gonna give him the benefit of the doubt and say that his max is 60% of the bunny's weight, together with all the weight of the rock, meaning that his total max is 116,085 pounds, or 58 tons, which for comparison, Adam Warlock was only able to lift 40 tons according to the Marvel Strength database. All right, cool. So that's how strong he is. What about his endurance? And this one's not as hard as you think to figure out. So all we have to do is find the heaviest thing to hit him, which I'm pretty sure is going to be those 4 rocks again. And I know, I'm milking the scene. But listen, we already did the math for this, so might as well just use it. Anyways, now that we know how heavy this is, we just have to calculate how hard to hit him. Anyways, y'all let me know if y'all like the calculations or not. So for now, I'm just going to try and speed run through it. Okay, it's approximated the Grug is 6 to 7 feet tall. So we're going to say 6.5, meaning that his arms will be around 2.5 feet, meaning that with his arms raised, they'll be around 94 inches. So to calculate the impact force, all we have to do is first transform our variables to kilograms and meters, and use this formula to calculate the velocity, assuming that this planet has a similar gravity to Earth, leaving us with a velocity of 6.84 meters per second. Now to figure out the force of impact, we just have to use this formula, assuming that it took 50 milliseconds for it to fall, which is pretty fair of an object of that weight. Anyways, after plugging in all of our numbers, we get a total of 7,537,680 newtons, or 1,693,809 pounds of force. And you want to know the craziest part about all of this is that it didn't even leave a scratch on him, making him equal to Luke Cage and Colossus, and his bones almost as strong as Wolverine's adamantium bones. Now, some of the comments that I have did say it was probably just Toon Force, but listen, I'm just trying to have an exact numbers. And let's look at some of you guys' other comments. What about Grug versus Bro? Bro, Grug is the reason why there are only 50 Viltrumites left. Damn, I suck at reading. But yes, I agree. And if you don't believe me, just look at this comment and this one. Don't compare Grug to inferior species. My bad, bro. Romans 10:9-8. Amen. Amen. Someone also said that he could be immortal, but he has different hair, so I don't think so. Good theory, though. I call it a M1. Oh, all right. Now, this one's going to be a little bit challenging, but let's figure out how smart he is. And quick spoiler, he's literally a genius. Like, after doing just a little bit of research, it's insane. Like, literally insane. But that's enough yapping. Let's figure this out. Okay, first let's note down some of his inventions, and the ones I'm going to use is the wheel, sunglasses, mobile homes, and a freaking plane. And the easiest way to go about this is to get the IQ of the people who invented that in our world. So starting off with the wheel, we don't actually know who invented this. We just know it was around the time of Mesopotamia. So I just want to go ahead and ask ChatGPT, which suggested it would be around 150 to 160 IQ, which sounds pretty fair to me. Now, sunglasses, we also don't know the exact person who invented it, but it said it was probably somewhere in China or some Eskimos. But we do know the person who invented the modern sunglasses, who goes by the name Sam Foster, who had an estimated IQ of 125 to 135. But keep in mind, he did this in 1920 1929. So a type of sunglasses had already been invented. So yeah, but anyways, the first mobile homes that we know of were from the 1800s, somewhere in Europe, and were more like wagons. And the first actual type of RV was from the 1900s, with the IQ of 125 to 140 needed for this, roughly also based from ChatGPT. I do try not to use it too much though. Anywho, finally we have the plane. And we actually know exactly who invented this, being the Wright brothers, which means that in real life it took 2 people to figure out how to make it, with Grug doing it single-handedly. But the Wright brothers IQ was somewhere around 135 to 145. Now this was roughly the IQ of the people who invented these things, but let's keep in mind that Grug invented all of these things overnight, so it wouldn't be fair to make an average of all of these numbers and also to add them all up together. And I don't want to overshoot this, but the IQ needed to invent most of these things is around 130 and 140. But to be a prehistoric creature and also have invented the wheel and the plane, I'm gonna calculate somewhere around 170 for these things. All right, so the IQ needed for someone to have invented all of these things, not just throughout their lifetime, but overnight, would be pretty close to 200. And taking into consideration that he did all of this single-handedly and in prehistoric times, I think he needs at least 20 IQ points extra for that. Meaning that in my opinion, with my research, I'm gonna say his IQ is somewhere around 210, making him smarter than Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton, Nikola Tesla, Leonardo da Vinci, and so many more. Meaning he has near superhuman intelligence.
The sun doesn't hurt my eyes anymore.
I'm literally up at 2 a.m. in the morning making this. Anyways, these are his final stats. Like, it's not even funny anymore. Like, all of this started off as a joke, but this is genuinely kind of insane. But yeah, drop some comments of some theories that you guys want me to do, and let me know if you guys agree with this or not. But yeah, drop a like and subscribe, and yeah, later, bye.